Honorable colleagues have examined and approved the second votes and proceedings of Thursday, 21st December 2017. We'll take announcements. First announcement, EDP leadership and all members of the National Assembly, Senate and House, party caucus today, 16th January 2016, by 2 p.m. at the National Party Secretariat, Wadata Plaza, Zone 5, Wuse, Abuja. Attendance is mandatory as very crucial matter. This announcement is coming from INEC. Please, honorable members, listen to it very carefully. Announcement: the forwarding of timetables and schedules of activities for the 2019 general elections and Federal Capital Territory FCT Area Council elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, hereby formally notifies you of the dates fixed for the 2019 general elections and conveys the timetables and schedules of activities for the two sets of elections attached herewith as annexures A and B as follows. Presidential and National Assembly elections, 16th February 2019. Governorship, State Assembly and Federal Capital Territory Area Councils elections, 2nd March 2019. In view of the central role of the National Assembly in the electoral process, the Commission requested an announcement relating to the death of a kidnapped member of the Taraba State House of Assembly. His name is Honorable Hosea Ipi. He was elected member in 2015 general elections to represent Takum 1, Taraba State. He was born on the 30th of March 1971, he survived by a wife and 2 children. He left behind a pregnant wife. He was kidnapped on the 30th of December 2017 and was killed on the 15th of January. Well, he was discovered to have been killed on the 15th of January 2018. And may his soul rest in perfect peace. We'll observe a minute's silence for him in conjunction with the others. Honorable colleagues, let me use this opportunity to deliver my welcome speech. Before we take on other businesses of the day. My dear honorable colleagues, I welcome you back to the plenary of the House from the Christmas and New Year recess, and also commend you for the committee assignments you have been undertaking since the House reconvened on the 8th of January 2018. I hope you, as usual, spend time with your constituents during these periods. I also expect that you have briefed them on legislative activities conducted so far on their behalf. The recess also presented us with opportunity to get feedback on the problems and developments in our various constituencies, which should aid our performance going forward. Honorable colleagues, faced by our constituents the unending and shameful story of fuel shortage reached an unbearable level as to make traveling and other economic activities impossible. We expect that with the legislative cooperation given to the executive arm to effect an increase in the fuel pump price from 87 naira a liter to 145, and based on the assurances, the incidence of fuel scarcity will be a thing of the past. We were also assured that fuel subsidy had come to an end. From recent developments on this subject, except the executive adduces compelling reasons why the reverse is the case, will be justified in feeling betrayed. As a parliament, we must unravel the causes of this scarcity and the alleged reintroduction of fuel subsidy. Charge our relevant committees to get to the root of these issues through the instrumentality of oversight to enable the House take an informed position on this totally undeserving, precarious situation that our already overburdened citizens are subjected to. This has to be done with minimal delay. Honorable colleagues, we are all painfully aware of the wave of murders of innocent Nigerians that has been sweeping through the nation, from the senseless killings in Rivers State to the killing rampages in Benue, Taraba, Kaduna, Zamfara, Adamawa, Edo, and other states. Their countries now being painted red with the blood of the innocents on account of unrelating bedlam, callously promoted by cold-hearted merchants of death. On behalf of the House of Representatives, I wish to convey our heartfelt condolences to the governments, people, and especially families of those who have lost loved ones in these primitive, mindless, and despicable rounds of bloodletting across our dear country. At these moments of intense outpouring of grief across the nation, it is important that we shun both person and accept responsibility for these wanton killings, without which we would never find a solution to this evil. We cannot afford to fold our hands and pretend that all is well with our country. We cannot throw up our hands in defeat. We have a responsibility to all Nigerians, regardless of creed or ethnicity, in line with the constitutionally stated primary purpose of the government we serve in, which is securing the welfare, including the lives and property of our people. This we must do by ensuring that every law-abiding Nigerian is protected wherever he chooses to live in the country. And everyone who is up in arms against our citizens is quickly brought to justice wherever they are in the country. That there are no sanctuaries anywhere in the country for killers and other hardened criminals who feed on the blood of our people. Our job as leaders is to hold our people together and ensure that no one or group is allowed to foist the reign of tragedy and group polarization on our dear nation. Those who pride themselves in violence must be reminded of the self-defeating nature of violence, the fact that violence only begets violence, and the true victory has never been won by violence. It was Mahatma Gandhi who delivered a timeless rebuke to those who worship brute force by reminding them that victory attained by violence is tantamount to a defeat, for it is momentary. We have to preach this message to our people who must not only accept the inevitability of conflict, as well as the necessity for tolerance, but must also learn not to pursue conflict violently, but democratically in ways that result in compromise and consensus as the culture of democracy demands. This House has passed many resolutions on the issue of herdsmen, cattle grazing, and cattle rustling. These resolutions include, but are not limited to House Resolution 127, 291 of 2015, House Resolution 36 of 2016, House Resolution 77, who are derelict in the performance of their constitutionally assigned responsibilities. In the same vein, our security-related committees must aggressively conduct oversight of the various MDAs and institutions handling security matters to detect lapses in the operations of these security agencies and provide and proactively ensure compliance with approved funds and procurement of appropriate equipment. Dear colleagues, you will recall that on Tuesday, 13th June 2017, this House convened a joint meeting with all service chiefs, Inspector General of Police, Honorable Ministers of Defense and Interior, heads of paramilitary services on the state of our national security. Our security-related committees were expected to conduct a follow-up action on all issues canvassed, and the House expects to be briefed soon. Only 2 days ago, Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, briefed the President of the Senate and I on measures being taken to contain killer headsmen and other criminals who kill with impunity across national flashpoints. I won't speak to the measure, to the latter. We will sooner than later begin to see the desired fruits. Dear honorable colleagues, as you are aware, the 2018 appropriation bill is before us for legislative action. We promise to do our utmost to pass it expeditiously. We should keep our word. However, this can only be possible if the ministries, departments, and agencies, MDAs, cooperate effectively with relevant committees of the House by providing required information as may be requested of them. I understand from reports reaching me that there is lack of cooperation from some of the MDAs, and I call on the heads of all MDAs to expedite action on demands from our relevant committees. We should all, in a constructive manner, resolve any problems that may hinder the smooth and early passage of the budget. The deadlines we have given to ourselves must remain sacrosanct. As we enter 2018, political activities will pick up. We must, however, remember that we were elected to represent the people for a 4-year term. The work is not finished. This is the time to conclude many outstanding legislative measures pending before us. Dear colleagues, the economy must remain the central focus of our legislative activities in 2018 in order to consolidate Nigeria's exit from economic recession. To this end, we must prioritize high economic impact bills and pass them before the onset of political activities. The Committee on Rules and Business is hereby charged to schedule consideration of these bills at the earliest possible time. The Electoral Act's amendment process must be speedily concluded. This first quarter, same with constitutional alteration process, especially those that dwell on electoral matters. Rules of the game must be clear to the actors early enough before the game begins. This is absolutely necessary in order to improve on the standards we set in the last general elections. Furthermore, the practice of divesting various ad hoc committees and standing committees with jurisdiction over referrals that have refused or neglected to submit their reports on various bills and resolutions would continue in the new year. We would strengthen the Rules and Business Committee of the House, which is the secretariat of the Committee of the Whole, to consider the reports divested from various committees. Indeed, all ad hoc committees that have not submitted their reports within the time frame given to them and without getting an extension of time from the House will be divested of jurisdiction, and that without further notice. In conclusion, may I use this opportunity to once again thank you all for all your support to the leadership of the House since 2015, and to plead that we work even harder this year to justify our mandate and to set the record of legislative productivity that will be difficult for our successors to equal. Honorable colleagues, the economic and security challenges facing the country are daunting, but they are surmountable. Indeed, at no time in the recent past has the nation's peace and unity been so vigorously and persistently challenged. This, however, is the real test for true leadership. I believe that together, with God on our side, we shall solve our economic, social, and political problems. It is my hope that we faint not as we run this race, and that when we hit the finish line, all of us shall breast the tape, standing tall. May God bless all of you. God bless our families, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Any member has a petition to present to the House may please rise to do so. Honorable Chris.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. I would like to say Happy New Year to all of us. Mr. Speaker, I am Chris Emeka Azubog, representing Nnewi North, Nnewi South, and the Ekusigo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition addressed to you here by one of my constituents, Chief Innocent Chukuma OFR, Chairman of Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Company Limited. He has a petition against economic and financial crime commissions for issue of humiliation, molestation, embarrassment, debasement, unlawful arrest, and detention. And I have this petition with me, Mr. Speaker, and I plead to lay the petition.
Honorable, please proceed and lay the petitions. Any more petitions? Honorable Dambaram Duhu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Dambaram Abubakar Nuhu, representing Kano Municipal, the only gentleman from the municipality in the hall of the Green Chambers, and I am from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have a petition from one of my constituents by name Kabiru Mohammed against the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company for non-payment of his outstanding benefits and gratuity. That he's seeking this House to intervene and ensure that his pension and gratuity is paid. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, with your kind permission, I wish to lay this petition before the House.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chukwuka Onyema, representing Obaru Federal Constituency of Anambra State. I have a petition from my constituent, the traditional ruler of Atani Kingdom in Obaru local government, and the people of Atani against the Nigerian police. We copy the petition.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Honorable Frederick.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Agbedi Yejemina Frederick is my name. I represent Sagbama Kremo Federal Constituency. I'm from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I have a petition from one of my constituents against the Nigerian Customs. Mr. Speaker, the Nigerian Customs, in the exercise of their duty along the highway, caused an accident and promised to repair the car of my constituent. But as of today, Nigerian Customs officials have changed the story. Mr. Speaker, what my constituency is asking for is for this house, the house of Nigerian people, to intervene and serve justice. I therefore seek the permission of Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, to lay this petition. I so request, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Frederick, please proceed and lay the petition. Any more petitions? None. All petitions referred to the House Committee on Public Petition. Yeah. Honorable colleagues, we will be raising to observe a minute silence in honor of all those killed, including the honorable member from Taraba State that was kidnapped and unfortunately killed. And I've noticed that we don't usually do the 1 minute. I will ensure that at least we observe, strictly speaking, 1 minute. So please, no murmuring, no grumbling as my eyes will be fixed on the clock. So 1 minute silence, please. And may the gentle souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Honorable colleagues, we'll proceed to take matters of urgent national importance. We'll start with Honorable Dixon Taki. Honorable Dixon Taki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I rise under Order 8, Rule 4, to raise a matter of urgent public importance. I therefore crave the indulgence of the House that relevant rules be suspended to enable me take this motion. Thank you very much.
Order.
Honorable Dixon.
Silence, honorable members, please. Honorable members, please take your seats.
Any seconder to the motion that the matter be considered urgent?
Please take your seat. Please,
Honorable Gabriel.
please, members, take your seat. Pijabi, Honorable Pijabi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please.
Honorable colleagues. Gabriel Onyemife is my name.
Silence,
I represent
please.
I am a federal constituency. Still of African political extraction.
Order.
I rise to second the motion.
Order. Honorable members, silence, please.
And
Silence, please.
Taken immediately. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Seconder, that the matter be taken today, of the Honorable Jimo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jima Abdurrahim Alajide. I stand to second the motion that the matter should be taken today as a matter of urgency. I do second.
Silence, please.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Actually, we have a motion that is already on notice, which it's on the same subject matter. So the arrangement was that this be raised so that we understand the angle is coming from. But this Honorable Dixon's matter and the substantive motion that is on notice will be consolidated and taken together when we get to that particular order in our today's proceedings.
The Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues, I remain Mohammed Sani Zoro. I represent Gumel Gagarawa Sule Dankarkar and Megatoni Federal Constituency from Jigawa State. First of all, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, let me use this opportunity to wish every one of us a happy new year, full of vibrancy, full of hope, as well as good health to all of us. The Honorable Speaker.
Silence, please. Silence, honorable members, please take your seats. Members should take their seats, please. Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai, please go back to your seat. Please. Please.
Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues.
Please, members should go to their seats.
I rise to seek.
I
rise to seek for the lead of this honorable House to move a motion for an urgent, for a matter of urgent public importance, and to ask for the suspension of our House rules in order to entertain this motion. Mr. Speaker, this motion is of an urgent matter because it has to do with the presence and continued influx of Cameroonian refugees into Nigerian territory in their tens of thousands. And so far, they have occupied a large space.
Please, members, please.
In 4 local governments of Cross River State, as well as the southwestern parts of Taraba and Benue State. The Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues, I beg of you to entertain this motion because of its urgent nature. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mrs. Mato.
Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm Honorable Mrs. Dorothy Mato, member representing the good and transparent people of Vandikia Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to the
Silence, please.
by my honorable colleague, Aso Second.
Honorable Linda and Betty.
Please, honorable members.
Honorable Nkiruka. Come between this. Yes. Honorable Frederick. Honorable Fred. Please go and locate your seat, please.
Silence, please. Silence, please.
Honorable Solomon, where is your seat? Okay, please. I thought you didn't have seat. Honorable Obaga. Honorable Sylvester. Honorable Said. Honorable Danjuma. Please find your seat, please. Honorable Sonda Depoju.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order.
Yes, Whip.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Honorable Hassan Adodogwa. Mr. Speaker, by the grace of God, the whip of the House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, I rise on the strength of Order 42, Rule 9, Mr. Speaker. Before I read out the order, Mr. Speaker, let me also join you in welcoming members back to the business of the House. Mr. Speaker, I rise to draw the attention of each and every member of this House that we are just back facing our national responsibility as members of the House of Representatives. But I want to say on court, unfortunately, the House is overrowdy. I want to draw the attention of the members that they must accept, respect the provision of our rules by listening to members making contributions in absolute silence and decorum. Mr. Speaker, this is the order I want to sign. I want to plead with members. While I appreciate that you are still in your holiday mood and the holiday was all well and going, please allow the session to continue in absolute silence and decorum. Mr. Speaker, I so move. Please.
Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize that I'm not on my seat. But I want to follow up on what the whip has just said and to emphasize the importance of the rule he has cited about absolute decorum and quiet in the chambers. The reason why I'm following up on what he said is that this issue has been on the airwaves, print media. People are actually talking about it. There have been silent and loud whispers on the issue of what goes on in this house. Members walking around, members talking. Nobody can hear the speaker, let alone members who are contributing on the floor. Honorable members, I want you to please understand where the Chief Whip is coming from, where the leadership of the House is coming from. That we're all here to represent constituents. They are observing us, they are watching us, and they also want to listen to us. So it's important that we please, and as I'm speaking, Mr. Speaker, members are still talking. Can we please, honorable colleagues, this is the first day back at work. Please let us show some seriousness as to the work, the humongous work in front of us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, honorable colleagues, point of order sustained. The leader has called himself to order as well. And please, I want to beg of us, if there's any need for us to console with one another, we can do that at the back of the chambers. Honorable Babangida, please, if there's any need for us to engage in conversation, we can draw the attention of any partner we want to converse with so that we can move to the back of seconder to the motion that the matter be taken immediately. Honorable Dixon Taki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain on Dixon Taki. I represent Makodi, Uma Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, for the state. I rise the second leg of the motion that the matter be taken immediately.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Zoro, please move your motion.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I remain Mohammed Sani Zoro, representing Gumel Gagarawa, Suletan Karkar, and Megatari Federal Constituency from Jigawa State. This is a request. My motion is a request for full protection and assistance for Cameroonian asylum seekers and refugees by the federal government of Nigeria. And this motion is brought under matters of urgent public importance under 8241 of the standard rules of this House. The House, aware of the presence and continued influx of tens and thousands of asylum seekers and refugees from Cameroon into Nigeria since the last quarter of 2017, recalls that this category of persons of concern have continued to cross the border into Nigeria, mainly through Boki, Ikom, Obudu, and Etu local government areas across the state, as well as the border towns and villages in northwestern parts of Benue and Taraba states. Further aware of reports of vulnerability of the asylum seekers and refugees as a result of incessant incursions into Nigerian territory by Cameroonian gendarmes, allegedly in hot pursuit of terrorists, and the consequent arrest and fear of deportation of about 40 of the asylum seekers and refugees back to Cameroon, conscious of the provisions of Section 33 of the Geneva Convention on the treatment of refugees dealing with non-refoulement of persons facing likely persecution and those whose lives are at grave risk in their countries of nationality, as well as relevant provisions of the Convention on the Rights of the People, resolves as follows: that this House urges the federal government and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to extend full protection and assistance to the asylum seekers and refugees through timely provision of physical security at their various camps and sites, adequate shelter, food and non-food items, especially in Benue, Cross River and Taraba states. Requests all concerned security agencies and authorities not to deport the arrested asylum seekers, as this measure will run contrary to the non-refoulement provision of the Geneva Convention regarding the treatment of refugees and other protocols governing the treatment of refugees. Further requests that both the state and federal authorities should allow the construction of refugee camps of up to 50 kilometers inside Nigerian territory to guard against cases of reported cross-border raids at the camps by alleged members of the Cameroonian armed forces, which is inconsistent with humanitarian principles and practices. Under this House, under the House Committees on Interior and National Intelligence and Public Safety should monitor compliance with provisions of this motion and report back to the House within 2 weeks. The Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I so move.
Honorable Boni.
Right, Honorable Speaker, Abu Dogara, Initiator of Northeast Development Commission. I am right, Honorable Boni Bukar Lawan, member representing Bursari, Gaidam Yunusari, Mr. Speaker, Sam from Yobe State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Right Honorable Mohammed Zaro. I so second.
Honorable Zoro, please lead the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, my dear colleagues. I wouldn't want to take so much of your time because today is the first day since we are resuming in plenary from the recess. Once more, I wish everyone a very fruitful year ahead. Honorable Speaker, the short and long of this, the import of this motion is to ask on behalf of the National Assembly, particularly the House of Representatives, that full protection and assistance be extended to Cameroonian refugees that are in their tens of thousands across across 3 states mainly in Nigeria today. Now these Cameroonian refugees came into this country in the last 3 months as a result of the political problems that is bedeviling their own part of the country. We are all aware that English-speaking Cameroon has been at loggerheads with the central government there. And because of this, the refugees and asylum seekers decided to come into Nigeria and reconnect with their kith and kin. For instance, in the parts of Cross River State, where Boki is the main language, those who have come in from Cameroon merely reconnected with their kith and kin in Boki, Etung, Obudu, and other local governments are joining there. Now they are just 2 kilometers away from the border with Cameroon. As a result of which, Cameroonian gendarmes have been reported to be coming into Nigerian territory in pursuit of those they describe as insurgents and terrorists. And this is capable of sparking off hostilities between Nigeria and Cameroon if measures are not taken to address the issue. And according to the best practices, best humanitarian principles and practices, refugees and asylum seekers that cross border into another territory are allowed inside the host territory of up to 50 kilometers. And that is why we have made this proposal. Secondly, there has been a report in the media that about 12 of such asylum seekers were rounded up in Abuja by security agents, and that there is a contemplation to deport empowerment provision of the Geneva Convention and the subsequent protocol on that convention, which is against deporting back to the country of origin of asylum seekers and refugees if they face persecution or if their lives are at grave risk. And in this case, it is obvious from the pronouncements of actors of the central government in Cameroon that these people are being persecuted and can become victims of the state laws in Cameroon. Now, because Nigeria subscribes to these conventions, because Nigeria is a law and order country, Nigeria is also a signatory not only to these conventions, but is also a signatory to regional conventions, such as the Kampala Convention, the African Charter for Human and People's Rights, as well as numerous others. There is a need for Nigeria to observe very strictly too all these conventions so that it will not become an outlaw, so that Nigeria will not ridicule itself before the international community. Now this it can do by freeing those asylum seekers and those who have already been given temporary protection status by Nigerian authorities in conjunction with UN High Commissioner for Refugees office in Nigeria. Now when that is done, yes, it is the right of the security and intelligence agencies in Nigeria to keep a watch and monitor the movements as well as the activities of these asylum seekers. But it is very, very important also to realize that yes, while we appreciate that the need for good neighborliness between Nigeria and Cameroon, and the fact that Nigeria and Cameroon are also a league militarily to defeat insurgents, the Boko Haram insurgents, while there is a need to take into account the 78 or so thousand Nigerian refugees in Cameroon, it is very, very important for Nigeria to preserve its sovereignty and ensure that it conforms with these laws of the land. Now, this is the import of what this motion seeks to, the prayers in these motions, and since it is within the purview and remit of the House Committee on IDPs, refugees, migrants, and those initiatives, I thought it should be brought to the attention of the House as a security motion. And I must thank you very much for entertaining this motion in advance of your concurrence. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my honorable colleagues.
Any more contribution on this motion? Chairman for Relations Committee.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for yielding the floor to me to make my contribution to this motion. Mr. Speaker, of course, I recognize that the plight of the IDPs in Nigeria and indeed around the world is one that is pitiable and is cause for national interest, of course, global interest. But Mr. Speaker, sir, in listening to the motion as proposed by my colleague, I would like to caution that as we seek, as the motion, of course, appeals to our humanitarian side, that we should also look at the political side of it and the foreign policy side of it. Nigeria as a country has been embroiled in security challenges for a very long time. Nigeria recognizes that the best way to deal with these security challenges is to have regional cleavages. And in these regional cleavages, Nigeria has entered into bilateral and multilateral relations with countries like Cameroon, Niger, and all the countries in the Lake Chad Basin in the hope that we can roll back on the counter-terrorism war and enhance our counter-terrorism war. Mr. Speaker, sir, the House is also cognizant of the fact that there are political issues right now in Cameroon between the English-speaking Cameroon and the Francophone Cameroon. Mr. Speaker, only a couple of days, some Cameroonians went and protested before the Nigerian mission in Washington, D.C. on the fact that Nigeria had allegedly arrested some of the leaders of the Abyssinia country, which is, of course, the English-speaking part of Cameroon that seeks succession. Mr. Speaker, sir, if, as a country, we do not take efforts into ensuring that the
Silence, please. Silence, please. Order. Please, honorable members, silence, please.
If we do not, as a country, take special care into ensuring that the people that we want to absorb into our country are not necessarily successionists, are not IDPs, but are successionists, then, Mr. Speaker, it will give the impression globally that Nigeria is trying tacitly to support the destabilization of Cameroon, who are our counterparts in this war against insurgency. I would therefore seek that while we look at this motion, that we are not very quick to, as a House, vote to support the absorption of these IDPs, because they may be IDPs, I don't know, of course they're internally displaced, but Mr. Speaker, they may also be soldiers describe these people who are running away from Cameroon and seeking refuge in our country. Mr. Speaker, my concern is that the long-standing relationship that Nigeria has with Cameroon may be jeopardized in the event
Please, honorable members, please.
May be jeopardized in the event that we are misconstrued as a country to support these people who are IDPs. Mr. Speaker, as we speak today, Cameroon is divided between the Francophone Cameroon and the Anglophone Cameroon. The Anglophone Cameroonians are seeking succession, and so we must be very careful as we open the floodgates of our country for them to come into our country. I do not have a problem with supporting IDPs around the world, but I think that in supporting the IDPs around the world, we must also look at our defense policy, our migration policy, as well as our foreign policy in the interest of our country. That is.
Those in favor of the motion? Okay, the mover of the motion want to clarify something. Honorable Zoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. First of all, I want to correct my colleague. I think I should be able to clarify and correct the input that my colleague has just made. I did not mention IDPs in my motion. I talk of refugees. Now, for the purpose of clarification, persons of concern in this category are IDPs, refugees, migrants, asylum seekers, as well as returnees. Now, we are talking of people who have crossed border into another territory. These are the people that are called refugees. And it is important to make this clarification because we are citing laws that govern nations to which we subscribe, that the Geneva Conventions of 1948, and the Honorable Speaker can guide us better at this, being an accomplished lawyer, and even imagine there are so many legal minds here.
Silence, please.
Nigeria has been
silence, please.
A signatory to these conventions. And these are the kind of conventions, agreements, and protocols that bound the world together. We are a member, an important member of the United Nations. Now, when we talk about this foreign policy, the Honorable Speaker, it may even be an opportunity to talk about the decline of Nigeria's foreign policy. As ambassador to the Foreign Ministry, it is our role as the People's Parliament and part of the agenda, the legislative agenda, to actually intervene and make sure that our foreign policy is progressive, is in alignment with our leadership role that is supposed to be the guide of all African countries. Lest we forget, 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. So because of the need to keep that friendliness with our neighbors does not mean that we should cave into humiliation as well as an illegality. What we are saying here is that if we deport these asylum seekers and refugees, Nigeria will be visited with all sorts of condemnations by the United Nations and by all people and groups that are aware. So I'm just sounding a note of warning. It's a red alert to preempt those hawkish foreign policy drivers that may contemplate the deportation. That's why we're saying that we should keep to the laws of our land as well as conventions, protocols, agreements of the United Nations. That's what we're saying. Cameroon has never deported back to Nigeria from our 78,000 refugees there. So why should we be in a hurry to do that?
Please.
Thank you very much.
Silence.
Okay, honorable colleagues, this matter, this is a straightforward matter. We all know that refugees are defined and the international instruments, and our security agencies will profile them and know who refugees are truly are. And then we have an obligation under the Geneva Convention, which we are bound as a sovereign nation to enforce. So I don't think there should be any confusion anywhere. And these motions speak to refugees, those who have that status under international law, and our responsibility as a nation based on the protocols and conventions that we've entered into is very, very clear. And the mover of the motion is calling for the enforcement of those protocols that were subscribed to in respect of people who are properly defined within the context of those laws as refugees. So there's absolutely no contradiction in this, and I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Are you sure? I didn't hear it well. I'll put this question again. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The next
of Bayelsa State. I rise under Order 8, Rule 4, on a motion on the need to investigate the alleged cutting away of $44.285 million from the NIA and the issues surrounding the appointment of the new DG. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I plead here that as is the practice of the House, we suspend our rules to take this as a matter of urgent public importance. I so move.
Honorable Vilita Sabe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My respected colleagues, my name is Asabe Vilita Bashir. I represent Chibok, Damboa, and all the federal constituency. I come from Borno State. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to second the first lead of the motion, every move by Honorable Doye, that the rules of the House be suspended to enable him to take the matter as urgent. I so move, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second limit that the matter be taken today. This is the second matter of urgent national importance that we're taking today. Honorable Nuruddin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Nuruddin Olaiton Akinwumi, representing the Bakoijayi Federal Constituency, State of Excellence, Lagos. I stand to second the second part of the motion that should be taken today. Thank you. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Doye, please move the motion.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Very esteemed colleagues, need to investigate the alleged cutting away of $44.285 million from the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, and the issues surrounding the appointment of a new Director General. The House notes that the President and Commander-in-Chief recently appointed a new Director General of the National Intelligence Agency in the person of Rufai Abubakar, concerned by the identity, nationality, citizenship, and even competence of the new DG has become a subject
Silence, please.
of public speculation and controversy. Disturbed that
John Bull
has again been visited by another scandal merely 2 days after assumption of office by the new DG, where $44 million cash in the agency's vaults in Abuja was allegedly carted away. Aware,
please. Members approaching the chair should please take their leave.
is yet to recover from the shock
Distinguished members with flamboyant white wears.
House scandal
Distinguished members with flamboyant white wears should clear.
$43
Honorable Madaki,
million,
Madaki, allow the speaker to concentrate.
$23.2
Honorable
million,
Madaki, go back to your seat.
$27,800.
We appreciate your mild red cap. We are happy for your cap that is transiting.
The reports
It's changing color.
of which
We are happy that your cap is changing color.
will be made public. Further disturbed that the issues of the controversy over the appointments and the cash scandals paints a very poor picture of our national security and diminishes the reputation of the agency in the eyes of the Nigerian public and in the eyes of the international community. The House therefore resolves to mandate the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence to investigate these reports and report back to the House in 2 weeks' time. I so move.
Honorable Dennis Seconda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Welcome to 2018. My name is Honorable Dennis Namode Abu. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion as heavily moved by my distinguished colleague, Honorable Diri Doye. I so second.
Honorable Diri, please lead the debate.
The Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my motion is a very straightforward motion, and I'll refer you to Daily Trust, Sunday, January 14. It's in the front page, where they say another 44 million vanished from the NIA votes. $44 million. Mr. Speaker, this is no longer a good music for Nigeria and for the security in Nigeria. We are all still coming out of the Ikoyi scandal. The dust is yet to settle. And in the midst of that, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we now have a new one added. And this report tells us that about $260 million was approved for the NIA. And out of that amount, what they can lay hands on that they have seen is what we heard about the Ikoyi scandal, and of course, just a few days back, the $44 million, which was in the vaults of the NIA in Abuja. Mr. Speaker, this is the House of the People, and this agency is an agency that is highly revered, not only in this country, but also in the eyes of the international community. And I think that we do our own embassies outside this country. And if this is the type of image we present before other foreign countries, Mr. Speaker, we are doomed. And therefore, I urge this House of the People, to support this motion and ensure that justice is done, and wherever these funds are,